to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles and you're watching ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Vietnam. Hello, Eliana.
Hi, I'm Eliana Faith Sebastian from EBC Vietnam Bureau, giving you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council has confirmed that 19 people were killed due to the onslaught of severe tropical storm Marine.
Arriving passengers who can avail of green lanes no longer need to observe a mandatory quarantine upon arrival in the Philippines, so long as they are fully vaccinated and test negative for the COVID-19, Malacanang said on Wednesday.
The Asian Development Bank has raised its financing target for climate change adaptation and mitigation by $20 billion over the next decade, according to the Philippine-based lender.
In light of the government's thrust to promote urban farming, the Department of Agriculture on Wednesday unveiled the Urban Agri-Hydro Hub Learning Center at the pop-up Katipunan in Quezon City.
First in our news, arriving passengers who can avail of green lanes no longer need to observe a mandatory quarantine upon arrival in the Philippines, so long as they are fully vaccinated and test negative for the coronavirus disease. That according to Malacanang on Wednesday. Here's Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque.
650 million para inaprubahan po ng inyong IETF ang revised rules for green list for international arriving passengers effective October 14, 2021. Dami po nagtatanong, ang Estados Unidos po ay yellow list. Okay? Para sa fully vaccinated foreign nationals, kinakailangan nila ng negative RT-PCR test na isinagawa sa loob ng 72 hours bago sila umalis sa country of origin. Pagdating sa Pilipinas, hindi na nila kinakailangan mag-facility quarantine, pero kinakailangan nilang mag-self-monitor ng sintomas hanggang sa 14th day. Para naman sa mga Pilipinong fully vaccinated, pwede silang mag-facility-based quarantine hanggang lumabas ang kanilang negative RT-PCR test na kinuha sa quarantine facility upon approval. Or, kung ayaw nila mag-facility-based quarantine, kinakailangan mag-present ng negative RT-PCR test within 72 hours bago sila umalis sa country of origin. Pero kinakailangan nilang mag-self-monitor ng simptomas hanggang 14th day. Sa mga unvaccinated or partially vaccinated o mga taong kung saan hindi ma-verify ang kanilang vaccination status, ang mga bakunadong hindi makapag-test before travel, kinakailangan nilang mag-facility-based quarantine hanggang sa lumabas ang kanilang negative RT-PCR test na ginawa sa ikalibang araw. Para sa mga foreign nationals, kinakailangan nilang mag-book ng hotel reservation na hanggang 6 na araw. Samantala, ang mga unvaccinated or partially vaccinated minor children na bumabiyahe kasama ang kanilang fully vaccinated parent or guardians ay required na sundin ang quarantine protocols na naaayon sa kanilang mga vaccination status. Kinakailangan samahan ng parent o guardian ang bata o menor de edad sa quarantine facility sa kabuuan ng kanilang quarantine period. Para naman ma-validate ang vaccination status ng mga overseas Filipino workers at kanilang mga spouse, parents, and or children na nagtatravel sa Pilipinas o abroad at mga non-OFWs na nabakunahan na dito sa Pilipinas at sa ibang bansa at mga foreigners na nabakunahan sa Pilipinas, maaring ipakita ang kanilang VaxCert Digital Certificate, Bureau of Quarantine, World Health Organization issued International Certificate of Vaccination or Prophylaxis, ICV, or ang National Digital Certificate ng foreign government kung saan sila nabakunahan. Para sa mga foreigners na nabakunahan sa ibang bansa, maaari nilang ipakita ang kanilang W-issued ICV or ang National Digital Certificate ng foreign government na tumatanggap sa VaxCert-PH under a reciprocal agreement.
The alert level status in Metro Manila will be downgraded to alert level 3 from the current alert level 4 beginning October 16, Malacanang announced Wednesday. This after the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases or IATF-EID decided to ease restrictions in Metro Manila. Here's Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque.
Inaprubahan din ng inyong IATF ang paglalagay sa Metro Manila sa ilalim ng Alert Level 3 simula October 16 hanggang October 31, 2021. Ito po yung sinasabi natin nung nakaraang press briefing na dahil nasa moderate po ang ating healthcare utilization rate at moderate din ang ating 2-week attack rate at daily attack rate, po pwede nga pong maibaba sa level 3 ang alert level sa Metro Manila at nangyari na nga po. Puntahan naman natin po ngayon ang guidelines for areas under alert level 3. No? Unang-una po, pinapayagan ng intrazonal or interzonal travel subject sa reasonable restriction base sa edad at comorbidities as may be determined by the accepting LGUs. Isa-isahin naman natin po ang bawal o hindi po pwede sa alert level 3. No? Ito po mga bawal. Face-to-face or in-person classes for basic education. Contact sports except those na kinukonduct po sa bubble type setup. No? Number 3, yung funfair, ferias, and amusement industries, yung mga playgrounds, playroom, kiddie rides, bawal pa rin po. Yung mga venues with live voice or wind instrument performance and audiences, mga karaoke, bawal pa rin po clubs, concert halls, at theaters. Yung mga casinos, horse trading, cockfighting, and operation of cockpits, lottery, and other betting stations, and other gaming establishments, except when authorized by the ITF or the Office of the President, at saka yung mga gathering in residences with individuals not belonging to the same household. Bawal pa rin po yung pagtitipon na sa mga bahay-bahay na hindi kasama sa mga kasama sa bahay. No? Ano naman po ang allowed? Well, ang allowed po ang general rule is 30% indoor venue pero para lang po yan sa fully vaccinated. No? At 50% outdoor venue para sa lahat, whether or not fully vaccinated or hindi vaccinated. Kasama na po dito sa rule na 30% ay ang MICE, yung meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, yung social events para sa mga venues, para sa mga parties, wedding receptions, engagement parties, etc. Yung mga visitor or tourist attractions, gaya po ng mga libraries, archives, museums, galleries, exhibits, park, plazas, public gardens, scenic viewpoints or overlooks, amusement parks or theme parks. Yung recreational venues, gaya po ng internet cafes, billiard halls, amusement arcades, bowling alleys, public gardens, scenic viewpoint, bowling alleys, skating rings, archery halls, swimming pools at similar venue, cinemas and movie houses. Pero 30% po lang vaccinated. At saka yung mga examinations na pwede nang ma-administer. Mga entrance, qualifying examinations na mga iba't ibang government agencies at mga iba pang mga test at examinations na na-approve ng IATF. Kasama rin po sa pwede na 30% indoor venue para sa mga fully vaccinated at 50% para sa outdoor ay ang in-person religious gatherings. Kasama na po dyan yung para sa mga necrological service, wakes, interment, funerals, para po doon sa mga namatay other than COVID-19 at saka yung cremains of COVID-19 deceased. No? Yung mga dine-in services po ngayon, no? 30% yan for fully vaccinated, 50% for outdoor. Yung personal care establishment, barbero, hair spas, hair salons, nail salons, yung mga aesthetic, cosmetic services, procedures, mga makeup services, salon, spa, reflexology, and other similar procedure. Ang mga gyms and fitness studios, patuloy pong bukas sila. At saka ang mga film, music, TV production subject to the guidelines po na inisyu ng DTI, DOLE at ng DOH.
Staying in the country, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, confirmed that 19 people were killed due to the onslaught of severe tropical storm Maring. Kompasu, its international name, is named after the Japanese pronunciation of compass, intensified the southwest monsoon that had already saturated swathes of the disaster-prone country. Provinces on the most populous island of Luzon were hardest hit by the storm, which caused more than 1 billion pesos or 20 million US dollars worth of damage to agriculture sector and damaged hundreds of homes. Because of a warmer atmosphere, because a warmer atmosphere holds more water, climate change increases the risk and intensity of flooding from extreme rainfall. 19 deaths have been confirmed so far, the majority in the northwestern province of Ilocos Sur, where most of the victims were caught in flash floods. The disaster agency is also checking another 11 reported fatalities, mostly in the landlocked mountainous province of Benguet. A total of 14 people have been reported missing. The storm moved across the South China Sea on Tuesday towards Hong Kong, forcing the international business hub to batten down. The Philippines, ranked as one of the most vulnerable to the impacts of a warming planet, is hit by an average of 20 storms and typhoons every year, which typically wipe out harvests, homes, and infrastructure in already impoverished areas.
The Thai government may consider easing more restrictions on businesses and activities, including reducing the number of dark red zone provinces. Esther Odanga reports. Hello, Esther.
Hello, Eliana. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all our viewers. That's right. And to prepare the country's reopening next month, the government is considering to ease more restrictions on business and activities, as well as shortening the curfew hours in all provinces. According to a source, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha will have a talk with the CCSA, or Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, today, 2 weeks after the virus curbs relaxed. They said the meeting will focus on easing restrictions, such as shortening curfew hours by 2 hours. From 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., it will be changed to 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., allowing meeting and cultural events to be held in different venues with limits on number based on participants' zone color. The red zones will allow 50 people. The dark red zones will allow 50 people, red zones will allow 100 people, orange zones will allow 300 people, and green zones will allow 500 people. However, organizers must ask permission from provincial or Bangkok Communicable Disease Committees first before holding the event. Additionally, considerations on allowing foreign visitors from 10 countries with low number of infections to enter Thailand without quarantine and reopening of entertainment venues on December 1 will also be discussed. On Monday, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha announced on television that the government is weighing whether to reopen the country on November 1 to fully vaccinated tourists from low-risk countries without quarantine in order to boost the economy. Deputy Prime Minister Supatanong Punmiachao stated that the reopening plan is well thought out with solid action plans involved. Mr. Punmiachao also pointed out on the success of the Phuket Tourism Sandbox to urge the public and all sectors to cooperate. When asked if the countdown events on New Year's Eve will be allowed, he said some events are already planned in Phuket, while other provinces can also submit their plan. Everyone must sit down, and he said we have to move the economy forward and guarantee the public's health at the same time. Back to you, Eliana.
Thank you, Esther, for your updates. Please do always stay safe and healthy.
Same to you, Eliana. Reporting live from Pattaya, Thailand. This is Esther Odanga. We live in interesting times.
In other news now, a handover ceremony of 60,000 COVID vaccine doses donated by the Croatian government to Vietnam was held in Budapest, Hungary on October 12. Addressing the event, Croatian ambassador to Hungary, Miladin Andrilic, said that Croatia always treasures the traditional ties with Vietnam and hopes to help the Southeast Asian nation to surmount the COVID-19 pandemic. In reply, Vietnamese ambassador to Hungary, Nguyen Thi Bich Thao, extended sincere thanks to the government and people of Croatia for the vaccine donation. As scheduled, the national flag carrier Vietnam Airlines will send an aircraft to bring the vaccine batch home along with 12.5 tons of medical supplies worth 380,000 US dollars donated by Vietnamese Hungarian entrepreneur Vu Quy Duong, who is also head of the Vietnamese Association in Hungary. As of October 10, Vietnam had received 87.7 million doses of COVID vaccines, according to a report of the Ministry of Health's General Department of Preventive Medicine and the National Institute of Hygiene and Epidemiology. To date, nearly 55 million doses have been administered, with some 16 million people fully vaccinated, or 22.1% of the population.
Laos has received another 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines from China. According to the Laotian Times, a new shipment of China's Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine arrived at Huatay International Airport in Vientiane capital today from Hangzhou, China. The shipment of vaccines donated by China to Laos as part of friendly relations is intended to provide the country with a boost to help achieve its goal of vaccinating 50% of the population by the end of the year. This new shipment of 1 million doses, combined with shipments previously delivered by China, marks a total donation of 4,302,000 doses by the northern neighbor. The vaccines were formally presented to Deputy Prime Minister and Chairman of the National Task Force for COVID-19 Prevention and Control, Dr. Kikeo Kaikampiton, by Chinese Ambassador to Laos, Jiang Zaidong, at Huatay Airport.
Meanwhile, Turkey's Vice President Fuat Oktay announced that his country will aid Vietnam with 200,000 doses of COVID vaccines, oxygen concentrators, and medical supplies. Now, Oktay made the announcement during a phone conversation with Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh on Tuesday. In reply, Pham thanked for Turkey's aid of vaccine, medical equipment, and supplies, expressing hope that both countries would collaborate closely in COVID-19 combat as well as economic recovery. The pair affirmed they attach importance to the friendly relations between the two countries and agreed to work actively to further promote the multifaceted cooperation. They also underlined the need to kick off negotiations on a free trade agreement, step up air transport cooperation, and trade promotion activities in a bid to fully tap the huge potential of bilateral economic cooperation. On multilateral cooperation, the two leaders also shared the view that the two countries should continue close consultation and coordination at international forums and organizations, especially the United Nations. Regarding the East Sea issue, the two sides emphasized the importance of ensuring freedom of navigation and aviation, security and peace in the region, and peaceful settlement of disputes on the basis of international law, particularly the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS.
All qualified Filipino citizens who are not registered overseas voters have until Thursday to register for the 2022 elections, according to the Commission on Election, or COMELEC. In a statement issued last Wednesday, the POL body said the 2-week extension for overseas voter registration will end on October 14, 2021. COMELEC said those who want to beat the deadline may go to the nearest Philippines post. Registrants are advised to check the hours of operation of each office before their visit. For Filipino citizens, they must fill out and print 3 copies of the OVF1 form at Registro for Overseas Voting. Upon their application, they should bring a valid Philippine passport or the certification of the Department of Foreign Affairs. If the applicant is a dual citizen, he or she must bring his or her Citizen Retention and Reacquisition Act or Republic Act number 9225 or identification certificate issued by the Post or Bureau of Immigration. Seafarers who will register must bring a photocopy of their seaman's book or any other pertinent document. The overseas voter registration was supposed to have ended on September 30, 2021, but it was extended by the COMELEC to give more time to aspiring voters to register and participate in the elections next year.
Back to alert level 3 news here in the country. The country's top cop on Thursday directed police officers in Metro Manila to assist in ensuring that businesses and other establishments comply with the guidelines on the prescribed operational capacity under alert level 3. Philippine National Police or PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar made the directive after the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases approved the recommendation to place Metro Manila under the more relaxed alert level from October 16 to the 31st. Under the updated guidelines on alert level 3, several establishments can operate at 30% indoor venue capacity only for fully vaccinated individuals and 50% outdoor venue capacity, provided that all employees are fully vaccinated. Religious gatherings, dine-in, and personal care services are allowed at 30% indoor capacity for fully vaccinated persons only and 50% outdoor capacity for all persons regardless of vaccination status. Meanwhile, face-to-face classes for basic education, contact sports except for bubble-type setup, fun fairs, kid amusement industries, and venues with live voice or wind instrument performers such as karaoke, clubs, concert halls, and theaters remain prohibited. Now, the PNP chief also urged the public not to be complacent amid the decrease in the number of coronavirus infections in the country. Metro Manila's shift to alert level 3 came amid the drop in coronavirus infections in the country's metropolis. The relaxation of alert level in Metro Manila will pave the way for the reopening of more businesses.
At least 12,686 COVID-19 vaccine doses have been wasted since the start of the government's inoculation program, a Department of Health official disclosed on Wednesday. Health Undersecretary Mirna Cabutahe said that most of the wastage was a result of the vaccines being exposed to changes in temperature. Let's listen in.
Are mostly from temperature excursions. Ibig sabihin yan, either na frozen yung hindi dapat ma-freeze na vaccine or yung frozen na vaccine, yung mga Pfizer at saka Moderna, have gone past their required temperature. Meron din po tayong mga incidents na nasunog like the one in Cotabato, like the one in San Nicolas, Ilocos Norte. Nung nasunog yung building, nasunog din yung vaccine. And then we have a few cases na nahulog, tapos yung walang label. So if there's no label, they do not administer. And then in some of the, in a few cases, nagkaroon tayo ng particles. So it's really the technique. So this is 12,686 wastage out of the 50 million doses that have already been administered, Madam Chairperson.
So manang ASEC near
0.00 something. So
in terms of the percentage.
0.001% of the
0.01%
of the 87 million that have arrived.
According to the Business Mirror report, Senator Panfilo Lacson questioned anew the allotted 45 billion pesos for booster shots under the proposed 2022 national budget. According to Health Secretary Francisco T. Duque III, the vaccine doses by the end of the year is over 195 million and there will be an additional 90 million vaccine doses. With this, Lacson said that there would be an oversupply of vaccines already, since the DOH is asking for 45 billion peso budget for the booster shots, while the eligible population to receive the COVID-19 vaccines is at 68 million population for those 18 and above. Duque, on the other hand, said that the 195 million doses will cover 97.5 million individuals, and that President Duterte wanted to vaccinate as many people as possible.
And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. Eliana and I will be back right after this.
Araw-araw sa panahon ngayon, may daming tanong kailangan ng tugon. Nandito si Ali at si Papi na rin, ang smart at pretty nanay, ang siglaban ng kwentuhan. Ang sigaw ng Pinoy Nation, information, education. Ating salaopin, ipakita natin ang nagsagot sa problema natin. Ang nasa palagay nyo, ang nasa palagay nyo, ang nasa palagay nyo.
Ano sa palagay nyo? Abangan! Simula October 18, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Mapapanood sa Net25 TV, Facebook page and YouTube channel. Mapapakinggan din sa DZEC 1062 at Eagle FM 95.5.
Back here in the country, Labor Secretary Silvestro Bello III said that if Saudi employers fail to settle the unpaid wages and end of contract payments of some 10,000 OFWs amounting to some 4.5 billion pesos, he may consider recommending to President Duterte another deployment ban in the kingdom. Let's listen in.
Alam mo kasi, I will present to the Minister of Labor ng Kingdom of Saudi Arabia yung problema nung mahigit 10,000 mga kababayan natin na matandaan mo na tenga nung 2016, yung pagdating ko sa Department of Labor, yun ang nakita ko. 11,000 of our overseas workers in the Middle East, especially in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, ay natenga doon, nagtatrabaho, mahigit 1 o 2 taon na hindi nasweldoan, kaya namulubi yung ating mga OFW. Kaya napilitan kami ni Pangulong Duterte na nilipad sila dito sa ating bansa. At yung unpaid salary sila, i-claim sila na 4.6 billion ay hanggang ngayon ay hindi nababayaran. Kaya ito ang magandang pagkakataon para kausapin ko yung Minister of Labor ng Kingdom of Saudi Arabia na kung maaari naman ay nangako naman sila natuparin nila yung pangako nila na isettle na yung claims ng ating mga kababayan. Ay mahigit mahigit 4 na taon na. Hanggang ngayon di pa nasisettle. Kawawa yung ating mga kababayan. 4 na taon naghihintay na mabayaran yung kanilang unpaid salaries and end of service. So I will drive the point na kung hindi nila isettle yan, I will get a clearance from the President that I may consider I will consider recommending to the President another deployment ban kung hindi nila masettle yung claims ng ating mga kababayan.
In May this year, Mr. Bello ordered a temporary ban on the deployment of OFWs bound for Saudi Arabia amid reports that the workers were made to pay for all COVID-related expenses upon arrival in the kingdom. However, Mr. Bello lifted it 2 days later following assurance from the Saudi government that the burden of paying for quarantine and insurance of OFWs would be carried by foreign employers and recruitment agencies.
The dock and sea trials for offshore patrol vessel BRP Gregorio del Pilar PS-15, which ran around off Hasa-Hasa Shoal in August 2018, have been scheduled for November. Philippine Navy spokesperson Commander Benjo Negranza made this statement when asked for updates regarding the repairs of the ship. One of the ship's two variable pitch propellers was damaged along with its propeller hub after its grounding. Negranza earlier said the dry docking and other related repairs of BRP Gregorio del Pilar are expected to be completed by September. The PN said difficulties in procuring parts and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic have moved the completion of the repairs of the BRP Gregorio del Pilar to the latter part of 2021. Mining activities without permits are acts of crime, and the Indonesian government will continue to crack down on them, according to Energy and Mineral Resources, or ESDM Minister Arifin Tasrif, during a webinar on Wednesday. The rising market prices of mineral and coal commodities over the past year has increased illegal mining activities conducted in various regions of Indonesia, such as East Kalimantan, South Kalimantan, Bengkulu, and South Sumatra. The government noted there are 3.7 million people conducting illegal mining activities at 2,741 locations, with 133 locations inside the mining business permit area and 480 outside, while 2,128 locations have not been identified. The first strategy is being carried out by the police in collaboration with the ministry, which involves conducting an inventory of illegal mining locations, as well as offering advice to the public about the environmental impact of such activities. Law enforcement will be used as the last resort against perpetrators who have the potential to cause casualties, environmental damage, and loss of state assets. In addition, the police will take firm action against law enforcement officers and bureaucrats involved in protecting the perpetrators of illegal mining.
Meanwhile, Indonesia is preparing to stop exports of crude palm oil, or CPO, while maximizing its downstream industries, which will process the commodity into derivative products with added values, that according to President Joko Widodo on Wednesday. At some points later, we will stop what is called CPO exports. The CPO has to be processed into cosmetics, butter, biodiesel, and other derivative products, the president said when briefing participants of a regular education program of the National Resilience Institution at the State Palace. The president said Indonesia must have the courage to do that, although the country has the potential to face lawsuits from various institutions, including the World Trade Organization. In addition to the CPO, Indonesia also plans to stop exports of raw bauxite and will process it into alumina and aluminum metal. In January 2020, Indonesia officially banned the sale of nickel ore to other countries.
ASEAN in Focus will be back after a short break.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Malalayong lugar ang kanilang narating para maghanap buhay. Tulungan ang pamilyang iniwan sa sariling bayan. Yan ang ating mga overseas Filipino worker. Pero dahil sa di pangkaraniwang pangyayaring hatid ay krisis, may ilan sa kanilang nagpasyang umuwi. Pinagyaman ang sariling lupain, nagtayo ng negosyo na kasama sa puhunan ang sipag at tiyaga. Ang mga OFW, maraming sakripisyo, ninanais maging kapaki-pakinabang maging sa kanilang pagbabalik bansa. Sapagkat ang ating mga bagong bayani, Pilipino pa rin sa puso at damdamin.
Welcome back to ASEAN in Focus. The Asian Development Bank has raised its financing target for climate change adaptation and mitigation by $20 billion over the next decade, the Philippines-based lender said on Wednesday. The bank, which provides loans and grants for projects in the poorest countries in the Asia-Pacific region, made the announcement ahead of the COP26 summit in Glasgow, where it will discuss an idea to phase out coal-fired power plants. The climate crisis is worsening daily, prompting many to call for increased climate finance. ADB President Masatsugu Asakawa said in a statement. Under the 2019 to 2030 financing goal, which will include loans and grants, ADB will dedicate $66 billion to climate mitigation, including energy efficiency and low-carbon transport. It will also commit $34 billion to adaptation activities to boost the resilience of countries to the impacts of a warming planet.
Meanwhile, Singapore's central bank tightened monetary policy for the first time in 3 years today, the latest country to act against inflation as coronavirus hit economies reopen amid continuing supply chain bottlenecks. Take a look. The move by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS, came as the economy grew 6.5% year-on-year in the third quarter, according to preliminary estimates, extending the city-state's recovery from its worst ever recession last year due to the pandemic. Singapore has taken a strategy of living with the virus by ramping up its vaccination rate, currently at around 85%, as it opens up the economy and eases travel for those who have been vaccinated. MAS move is in response to concerns that inflation globally may stay elevated for longer than what may be currently perceived. That according to Song Seng-won, a regional economist with CIMB Private Banking. For Singapore, he said, which imports everything from food on the table to shoes, he said it's inevitable that a stronger exchange rate is needed to contain inflation as much as possible. This is all the more crucial as the economy is expected to continue growing into next year with further opening up and as travel gains pace. Said this. Now, Singapore's conducts monetary policy through the exchange rate in which the local dollar is managed against a basket of the currencies of its partners. MAS said Thursday will raise slightly the slope of the Singapore dollar's exchange policy band from 0%, which would allow for a modest appreciation of unit. Now, this will ensure price stability over the medium term while recognizing the risks to the economic recovery, it said. Singapore has registered more than 135,000 virus cases, but a very low level of fatalities compared with other countries reporting just 192 deaths.
Lockdowns and mobility restrictions prevent small and medium enterprises or SMEs from accessing financing, and this makes it more difficult for them to sustain their operations, according to the National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA. At the NEDA budget hearing at the Senate on Wednesday, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick T. Chua said this is one of the primary reasons for his recommendation to reopen the economy, albeit safely, taking into consideration health and safety protocols. Let's listen in.
We will be the idea of a recovery is we allow the businesses to operate, but we have not really allowed many businesses to operate given our heightened quarantine. So that is the reason why more businesses become affected. That is the reason why banks are, I guess, more risk averse to lending, because when they lend, they want to make sure that the businesses will operate. But if we continue to have heightened quarantines, then there is a lot of hesitation and uncertainty. That is why I think the more sustainable way to help businesses is to first open the economy. We have restricted them for more than 18 months already. Once we are able to open, then we will have this more virtuous cycle wherein those businesses that need financing or grants to support them will be provided by the financial sector. But if we just provide the funds, let's say Bayanihan 2, but then we restrict the economy from operating, then we are in this chicken and egg cycle that the businesses don't operate, tax revenues fall, then we do not have additional revenues to provide more targeted support. In the same way, last year when we gave the Ayuda or SAP, we were hoping that this SARS-2 or this COVID will be gone by 6 months. It is now proven to be getting to be more endemic. So if we had the, I guess, yung practice of providing ayuda every month and every time, no, we would have easily run out of money. So yes, we will provide this support, but I think yung underlying necessary condition is the opening up. Otherwise, we will be just putting money or lending money to firms or people that cannot turn around that money and become productive.
In order to better address the country's socio-economic challenges, Chua said the NEDA is pushing for the reorganization of the NEDA Secretariat under the proposed NEDA bill now pending in Congress. Chua said this entails adding 3 more groups to NEDA: the Strategy and Results Group, Monitoring and Evaluation Group, and Legislative, Legal, and Institutions Group.
In light of the government's thrust to promote urban farming, the Department of Agriculture on Wednesday unveiled the Urban Agri Hydro Hub Learning Center at the pop-up Katipunan in Quezon City. Take a look. Now, in other news, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Benjamin Diokno said that the rise in the number of individuals vaccinated against COVID-19 will address the pandemic-related unemployment in the country. He said, I think it's very important, but to me, the key there really is our vaccine turnout, and we have been doing very well now, he said during the virtual event hosted by, quote, the Asset. The government earlier faced issues on COVID-19 vaccine supply given its demand worldwide, but authorities said the government has secured adequate supply to vaccinate target individuals. They said over 85.575 million doses of COVID vaccines have been delivered in the country since last February, and more than 48.9 million doses have been administered nationwide. He said, we're confident that before the end of the year round, maybe half of the population will be vaccinated. He also cited for the National Capital Region alone, around 80% of the target individuals have been vaccinated. Vaccinations for minors aged 12 to 17 will be done once the national government gives the go signal. And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. Eliana and I will be back right after this.
Hindi ito namumunga at hindi pa lubos na nakikilala. Abay sa larangan ng agrikultura, ito pala ay umaarangkada.
Halaman?
Hindi ko alam.
Hindi ko alam yung kung ano yun. Citronella yung tinanim namin kasi madali hong kumita. Tuloy-tuloy po yung harvest.
Nag-try ako dito lang sa paligid ko lang. Ang dami namang nagbilihan.
Skincare, personal care, home care, plant care, pet care. Kayang-kaya ng citronella.
Mayroon siyang calming ingredients, nare-relax yung buong katawan mo.
Lots of benefit in one product lang.
Ako po si Robin Padilla at ito po ang unlad. Kagapay sa hanap buhay.
Ito ang tahanan. Ikaw, ako, tayo. Sama-sama, nagtutulungan, nagdadamayan, nagmamahalan. Bitbit ang mga impormasyon pang pamilya, pang sambahayan. Kasama ninyo para sa masaya at makabuluhang kakwentuhan sa umaga. Ito ang tahanan.
Ang resolusyon na ito ng IATF ay pinagtibay din ng ating Pangulo.
Paano pa natin mapapanatili ang ating pagiging malikhain?
Taong 1913, na-invento ni Harry Burley ang stainless steel.
Nako, bago tayo magbabakuna, kailangan maaliw namin kayo kasi alam namin yung iba, afraid magpabakuna.
Itong mga...
Mula sa Net25, Radyo Agila, araw-araw. Tara na all!
Ikaw, ako, tayo.
And here in the country, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Benjamin Diokno is optimistic that the central bank's bid to further increase electronic payment transactions in the country, despite the internet connectivity issue, can be boosted by a payment system using the Quick Response Code or QR code. During the virtual launch of the QRPH $2 million program on Tuesday, Diokno said that the QRPH or 2 million peso rather. Diokno said that the QRPH for person to merchant or QR codes for financial transactions. Here is what we said.
To receive payments, merchants only need to print the QR code, which the respective payment service providers will generate for them, display those codes, and obtain payments by simply asking their internet-connected customers to scan the codes. Without necessarily getting connected to the internet, a confirmation of a successful payment transactions may also be received by both the merchant and the customer through text. First is that QRPH is cost-effective. With a QR technology, all you need is a smartphone. Small entrepreneurs need not invest in costly electronic data capture equipment like point-of-sale terminals. Merchants only need to print the QR code that their payment service providers will generate for them, display those codes, and obtain payments by simply asking their customers to scan the codes. Second is that QRPH minimizes encoding errors. By simply scanning the merchant's QR code, both merchants and customers can be assured that the payment is sent to the correct account number of the merchant. Third is the convenience of QRPH. Compared to other modes of payment, QR code is extremely quick and easy. The customers need not bring their physical wallets to pay or to manually input the merchant's account information, since such is already embedded in the merchant's QR code. Fourth is that QRPH is secure. QR codes are one of the safest payment methods. Customers do not have to store sensitive payment information, and data transferred via QR codes is encrypted, thus making payments secure. Fifth is the contactless feature of the QRPH payments.
Okay, let me say that again. During the virtual launch of the QRPH P2M program on Tuesday, Diokno said that QRPH for person to merchant or P2M uses QR codes for financial transactions. Electronic payments, which got a boost when the government imposed movement restrictions since the start of the pandemic, are expected to increase further through the use of QR code for payments. Diokno said they're hopeful about further increase of digital financial transactions as more people now have smartphones and access to the internet. Citing data from market research firm Statista, he said around 2/3 of the population, or around 73.9 million Filipinos, have access to the internet through mobile devices. Diokno said QRPH transactions rose by more than 45 times since the second quarter of 2020, or an average quarterly growth rate of 110% for volume and 229% in value.
In light of the government's thrust to promote urban farming, the Department of Agriculture, or DA, on Wednesday unveiled the Urban Agri-Hydro Hub Learning Center at the pop-up Katipunan in Quezon City. This launching serves as our first step in reaching our goal. Today, we established our country's first urban farming hydroponic research and training facility to overcome food shortages and heal hunger in the Philippines. Agriculture Secretary William Dar said in his speech, the project is a collaboration of the DA, the Philippine Association of Agriculturists Incorporated, or PAA, University of the Philippines, Diliman, Institute of Biology, and the Freshest. Dar was joined by PAA Chairman Roberto Ranyola Jr., UP Diliman Chancellor Fidel Nemenzo, Food Security Ambassador James Reed, and Fiona Faulkner and Jeff O of The Freshest during the inauguration of the facility. Dar said the project is an effort of the DA administration to influence people to put up an urban farm, to develop a healthy lifestyle, and practice appreciation for agriculture. Dar said urban farming can cover up to 15 to 20% of urban areas, where every space available, such as vacant lots and rooftops, can be used for food production. The DA said the new learning center is composed of 2 facilities: the hydro farm, which can grow 576 heads of lettuce, or about 18 kilograms per life cycle, and the hydro hub lecture hall. Lectures on hydroponics, vegetarian or vegan culinary demonstrations, and pop-ups will be regularly conducted at the center, according to the DA.
Thank you, Eliana, for keeping me company today here on ASEAN in Focus. Stay safe.
Thank you, Alma. Stay safe too. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Eliana Faith Sebastian from EBC Vietnam Bureau, and we live in interesting time.
And we'll see you back tomorrow, same place, same time. And I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.
Sa weekdays prime ng Net25. Ang mga balitang pumapagaspas, ihahatid sa atin ni Emma Tiglao, Elis Saludar at Vic Dalayon Lima. Sa mata ng Agila, tatalakayin mga pangunahing balita sa pagtutulungan ng Radyo Agila at Net25. Samahan si Weng de la Fuente sa Balitalakayan. At alamin ang mga balita saan mang panig ng mundo. Hatid sa atin ng Eagle News International. This is your Weekdays Prime. Handog sa inyo ng Net25.
Hindi ito namumunga at hindi pa lubos na nakikilala. Abay sa larangan ng agrikultura, ito pala ay umaarangkada.
Halaman? Hindi ko alam.
Hindi ko alam yung kung ano yung... Citronella yung tinanim namin kasi madali hong kumita. Tuloy-tuloy po yung harvest.
Nag-try ako dito lang sa paligid ko lang. Ang dami namang nagbilihan.
Skincare, personal care, home care, plant care, pet care. Kayang-kaya ng Citronella.
Mayroon siyang calming ingredients, nare-relax yung buong katawan mo.
Lots of benefit in one product lang.
Ako po si Robin Padilla at ito po ang unlad. Kagapay sa hanap buhay.
The Bundesliga will start up again. It would be great if we had full stands. And to sing our battle songs. Oh, and more goals wouldn't hurt either. A surprise would be great too. The Bundesliga highlights. Kickoff